I'm in Northern California in my backyard that I think I've lived in since I was 12 years old, and standing in front of a redwood tree that's in the back corner of our yard that is probably 250 feet tall. It's huge. It's one of the larger ones in this area, and it has this huge bulb at the bottom, but it has this energy, and it's just one of my favorite places. And then over here in the corner, where it's sort of open and fresh air now, there used to be this big oak tree. And I remember as a little girl, well, as a teenager, when things were overwhelming for me at the house, I would bring my book and I would climb up in a tree right over there, and I would sit behind everything blocked by all of these trees and sort of watch the neighbors, or just get lost in a book, or just sit and do my own drawing or writing or whatever I wanted to do. And that was my oasis. This was the place that I hid. This was the place I went to when I was overwhelmed. So what I'm realizing is that I have a lot of personal experience with overwhelm, and I thought I would walk us through today what overwhelm is all about and what it looks like. Okay? From Northern California, and it's kind of foggy out, sort of beginning of June, exactly what it does, fog till maybe 11 o'clock, and then it burns off. So it's a little interesting here. So overwhelm is over arousal. It's overstimulation. It's when too many things are coming and we don't know what to do with them. So it's like that Jenga game where you start to build and you can do 1, and then you can do 2 and 3 and 4, and then all of a sudden everything starts wobbling. Or like when you're building a house of cards, and if your hands are nervous, or if you're not concentrating and you're talking and you're putting things where they're not, they shouldn't be, or when there's a breeze or a lot of commotion going on around the house, it's really hard to focus on building something very sensitive like a house of cards. Okay? So this is a neurological issue, and it is when we have a more highly active nervous system, and it's what they call sensitivity. It's also what we call neurologically diverse, which means that there's this population in the world, about 20%, which is 1 out of every 5, 50% male, 50% female, cross culture, cross generation, cross it doesn't really come in any major form. It's all over the world, and it is consistent. And my personal belief is that for some reason it seems to be on the increase, and that's to be determined on a future video. But for right now, what we have is our neurological system gets overloaded, gets overstimulated, and things start to shut down. And the way that we process information is if we have a really rapid processing, sometimes we don't react very much. But if we're slow, we need some time to slow things down and figure out what's going on. We can be overwhelmed really easily. So think about classrooms, think about your students, think about your family situation, whether you have children yourself or whether you are looking at your siblings and your parents, because it's genetic. This 20% strand goes down from generation to generation. And, when we look at diagnoses, it could look like anxiety, it could look like ADHD, it could look like Asperger's, it could look like a lot of things that we're starting to put our fingers on right now that may be sensitivity. So let's play with this and see what we know. So as I said, it's passed down genetically, and it's a difficulty in maintaining our emotional level or our presence because we get agitated or overstimulated. Okay, so some of the things that can overwhelm, which is really interesting, would be big crowds, malls, stadiums, large gatherings, even classrooms. If there's too many people and too many people doing things, and sound systems going off, and crowds and hustle and bustle and being touched and pushed around, it's a little overwhelming. Concerts, things like that. Sounds, if the music is too loud or the music is irritating, too many people talking at once, fighting, arguing, whining, thunderstorms outside, construction, fidgeting. Have you ever noticed that if you're a parent, you have a child that can't listen to that tap 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 on the desk, and you're like, don't let it bother you. It's impossible to turn that off. Lights, flashing lights, they're too bright, the colors are too loud. or it's too dim and it just feels like you can't find yourself in the room. It's too dark. Like right now, it's a little dim out for me. I like it when it's a little bit brighter if I'm going to be outside. Tactile, textures, seams, color. Like where it touches your skin. Is your skin dry? Are your hands dry? Food, temperature. Weight of blankets, weight of clothing. For some of these over sensationalized tactile kids, you have to be really careful what kind of products you put on them, where they sleep, what they do. Emotions. It's anger, arguing, whining, crying, mood changes, rapid mood changes, agitation. And they're very sensitive. They can pick up on when someone's angry. The constant sort of noise of a crying baby or someone who just whines the whole time in the car can turn some sensitive people, adults or children, into this like reactive, explosive behavior. Okay, so what happens when we get overstimulated is that we can do one of two things. We can go quiet and retreat and sort of turtle in and isolate and shut the world out and withdraw. Or we can become super agitated and become explosive and attack. And so you see like that oppositional, defiant kid who's, starting to get worked up and then just volcanoes and turns the whole household upside down. Or a partner that gets really angry out of nowhere and you can't understand what happened. Or in a classroom scenario. Again, or someone who isolates. And the more interesting thing is that you can go back and forth. I can pull back and isolate and go sit up in my tree, and I can come back and roar and be like the abominable snowman when I'm overwhelmed. So these are things of the inability to regulate what comes into my energetic or my emotional or my sensory system and not know what to do with it. Other examples are, so we talked about tactile, environment, elevators, bees, bugs, weather, thunderstorms, the wind, when things are too tight, too small, too constricted, kind of claustrophobic, or too big and overwhelming, like I have no idea where to go in this space. Routines. Sometimes you need like this really quiet, steady routine, or you just need a predictable routine, and it can be, and if we go erratic, or we go unpredictable, or we transition wrong, it's really, really difficult to do that. I've got my dad in the back waving at me. School endings and school starts. Sometimes it's really hard to let go of the security of the classroom and go into new daycare situations, camp, playing on teams that just aren't really a good match for you. Or, what do I do with all this unstructured time? And then slowly getting into the rhythm of summer, and then it's like, oh, I have to go back into school, new classroom, new teacher. There's, those kind of transitions don't work out very well. Relationships. I want to talk about the fact that sometimes this more refined nervous system also means that they're scanning and they're observing and they're processing, depth of processing, bringing things in so fast that they notice. Mom's pretty pissed right now. Dad's really quiet. Dad's retreating. Mom's roaring. They can pick up on jealousy. They can pick up on competition. They can pick up on withdrawal, silent treatment. They can pick up on punitive, like I'm mad and I'm going to make somebody pay for this kind of behavior when we're triggered. They can pick up on control. They can feel community dissension because somehow it comes into their energetic field and it agitates our nervous system. Chaos, confusion. These are the kinds of things that can take someone from balanced into total overwhelm. Okay, so this is the way that overwhelm can sort of start, and think about this today after you get a chance to watch this. Are you like this? Is your partner like this? Do you have children? Is there a child that looks like this? Is it in your family strain? Can you identify with anybody who gets overwhelmed and volcanoes or retreats and isolates? Or what does it look like? So what do you do when you are someone who either gets triggered and doesn't know what to do, or you're with someone who. So you can identify this as being something personal for you, or you can apply this towards someone you know and love. So the first thing is that to avoid shame, like, you know, how come you can't just sit quiet at this table, you know, that kind of thing, and enjoy us. This is a family gathering. We all need to be having fun here. That's shaming a child or shaming a person for not knowing what to do when things get too chaotic. Teasing. If your words and your vibration or your energy behind the words don't match, and there's an edge, like sarcasm, it's teasing, but it's also like really pointing out something that you don't know how to do and making light of it, but it doesn't feel light to the sensitive. Physical discipline. If someone's in overwhelm and they're volcanoing and they're totally freaked out, why would you spank someone like that? Why would you grab them and put them in timeout and isolate them and shame them for not knowing how to control their behavior? You know, it doesn't make sense to do any kind of physical retaliation or physical separation. Another one is being, this is a big one. Avoid isolating or withdrawing love or warmth. You know, hey, I'm not happy with you, so I'm not going to talk to you for the next half hour or day. I'm going to take all the love that I have in my body and I'm going to deprive you of that until you show me that you can change your behavior. Because for someone who's for someone who's overwhelmed and overly triggered, they need a guide. Sometimes we need a touchstone, someone we can hold on to, something we can do, which was what this tree was for me. This tree, I would just go up and put my hand on it and be like, help me out here. And we have, 40 years of a relationship, this tree and I, which is why I wanted to do this in front of it today. So change, I'm jumping all over the place. You can tell I'm a little overwhelmed. It's sort of interesting. Avoid being permissive. If you just sort of see it and you go, I don't know what to do, I'm just going to leave them alone. Sometimes, again, you're not providing that touchstone. You're not able to step in and go, hey, what's going on? I notice something's happening there. And so if you have a partner who's sort of starting to get agitated and jumping around, go up and say, hi, how are you doing? What would you like right now? Want to go sit over here with me? Because sometimes you can reach through and touch. Sometimes you can just say, come on over here and let's just breathe for a minute. What's going on? Tell me what you see. Tell me what you feel. Okay? So you change your voice. You step in and you provide contact. Contact if it's okay. Hey, can I come sit with you? What do you need right now with me? Speak gently, restore connection, build, like sort of a cause and effect is, I can imagine that this party got kind of big really fast and it's a little overwhelming. Provide context. Yeah, I guess that's it. I had no idea that's what's going on. And then reduce the threats. Like, okay, so what if we just went into the next room? And we can sort of be part of the party, but we don't have to be in the midst of it. And then if we want to come in and join later, we can, right? So basically what you want to do is you want to show up and you want to go, I'm here. I see. And I'm here to help. Breathe with them. Tell them about it. Tell me about it. Tell me what you see. Tell me what's going on. Tell me what we can do to either change the ending of this or the direction so that you feel better. How big is this on a scale of 1 to 10? And with children, you might go like 5. You need to start teaching them. When I'm overwhelmed, Mom, I'm at a total 5. Or a partner, like, right now, I'm okay. But I'm starting to move up into 3 or 4, and I'm getting kind of overloaded. Especially if you take someone into an environment that they're kind of nervous about. Validate. Of course, always validate. And start to teach each other in a partnership, or parent to child, or teacher to classroom. What kind of strategies can you use to bring your focus back down, to hold on to something that works? Whether it's breathing, like DBT, whether it's knitting or doing crossword puzzles, or something that sort of brings all the senses back into balance so that the overwhelm stops. Okay? So when we can do this for ourselves, or when we can do this as a parent, then we're part of the solution, not part of the problem. And I can only urge you, if you know that there's a reactive child and you think that it's really super oppositional and really super explosive, to explore sensitivity. If you've got a kid who's isolating and playing video games for hours and has social anxiety, explore sensitivity. And after this, I'm going to put a link on my post on The Highly Sensitive Person by Elaine Aron and some of the other articles that I've seen and worked with out there. So it's been fun. This is totally overwhelming and enjoyable, and sort of like a rite of passage for me to stand here in this backyard and talk about something that has always been an issue when I come to San Jose, and now I'm learning how to handle it, how to take care of myself in a much different way. So I think me and my little tree back here, we're going to spend some time together in the next couple days. Have a great Memorial Day. Have a great next week, and I'll see you next Sunday. Take care. Bye-bye.